One thing, I want to make sure everybody turns their phones off because we did have a ring earlier, so thank you. All right, come out, Patti.
Okay. Thank you. That was a very generous. I'm sorry. This is embarrassing, but it's also really important. It's my client, and I have to take it. Can I call you back? I'm kind of in the middle of something. You want how much redone? Okay, why didn't I hear about this earlier? You spoke to Amy. Who's Amy? Isn't she like the intern? She's in charge now? Did she win a contest? Okay, look. I'm sorry. Here's all I'm going to say. This is 100% on Dan. 100%. No, please. Okay, don't go back and talk to Dan. Because he's confused by faucets. Okay, all right, look, I tell you what, this is all fine. I'll call you back and give you all the reasons why you're ruining my life, okay? Yeah, All right, later, ciao. Sorry, so sorry about that. All right, I'm gonna turn my phone off, okay? So that's it, right? That's it. That's chaos. Yeah. So that's a day in the life, right? Like signed, sealed, work in progress. We got this to upheaval. We're redoing it for the same budget and the same criteria. All right. So that's the kind of drama that a lot of project managers can relate to. So I interviewed a range of professional folks, from engineers to writers. And I asked them, in 2 words, describe your workday. Oh, I guess I have this, okay. Describe your workday. Chaotic, one of the most used words, insane, out of control. My personal favorite, that was ridiculous. Okay. And it's relatable, right? Like from time to time, we all feel like we're a little bit in over our head. But the question is that really chaos? Is that really chaos? Well, according to the Kneffen model, which Anita, wherever you are, is going to be going into, which Anita is going to be going into a lot more detail tomorrow. Kneffen is a framework, and it's extremely useful in diagramming and labeling, or gauging rather, just how out of control a situation really is. True chaos is likened to an accident, an emergency. The grid is down. It's utter chaos, right? Generally reserved for code red events. So, as it turns out, what we typically perceive or label as chaos is just like the normal run-of-the-mill, everyday project complexities. It's Wednesday. Well, the question then becomes, why are we so melodramatic? If true chaos is rare, where does all the hyperbole come from? And the answer is, it's our brains. It's not really even our fault. We're hardwired for this. We are neurologically programmed to respond to all of the sudden unexpected twists and turns as existential threats. That primitive brain, it was fantastic 200,000 years ago. It kept us fed, it kept us alive, it kept us propagating as a species, right? And today, it is still a significant influencer in our day-to-day lives. In fact, our current brain remains biochemically incentivized by the same motivational triad. We're seeking pleasure, we're avoiding pain, we're conserving energy, we're efficient. Most of us are not running from prehistoric fanged beasts, but the use of exaggerated language still conveys the same sense of urgency and vibration that it did back then. There's a threat, neutralize it, get back to status quo, and do it fast. All right, so here we are in our beautiful complex brains. We now have a human brain or a prefrontal cortex. This is great for project managers. We love a robust plan. We like to take risks. We love a challenge. We're like the first ones to sign up for the biggest challenge, right? We love this stuff. We gleefully explore the unknown. By the way, all the things that our very intact primal brain wants to retreat back to the cave. By the way, in case you're wondering what happens to your plans for your 6 a.m. 5-mile jog, yeah, you usually get an extra hour's sleep out of it because it's so much safer to stay in bed and snuggle. It just is. Your brain knows this. All right. So you get a sense up here about the twists and turns and how the fight or flight receptors are triggered, right? Again, emotionally, our well-being, if not our survival, we feel like it's at stake. And by survival, it could mean our reputation. It could mean that stink eye that our boss just gave us. It could mean trying to get our team to come to a meeting and they don't even want to look at us, much less come to a meeting. It all triggers the same responses. But we're experienced project managers, and we think that emotional restraint in a crisis is our key to holding the sanity and cooperation of the team. Well, not so much. Because our brain instinctively is seeking that shortest path to knowing. It wants to know what's up. It wants to know who did it. And it wants to know what the heck is wrong. And it wants to know that fast too, by the way. Confirmation bias. This is reflexively getting us to that resolution. And I'm going to read this. We are constantly seeking reinforcement of our ingrained patterns and our prefab opinions about ourselves as well as others that recur most in our brains. We show up, we are already always knowing. Our brains think before we hear the first word that we got it sorted out. Well, okay. I love this quote from Warren Buffett. It says it all. What the human being is best at doing is interpreting all new information so that their prior conclusions remain intact. It's like a big radar, right? We're looking for all the evidence of what we already know. All right, why is this important? Why is this important as project managers particularly to understand? Am I going the wrong way? Yeah, I am. All right, here we go. Because confirmation bias is that efficiency part of the motivational triangle, right? You're seeking pleasure, you're avoiding pain. Some of us are. I don't know. I just threw myself off. And much of the time, it isn't delivering the outcomes to our benefit, right? Confirmation bias isn't looking for what's good for us. It's looking for how to get there the fastest. And here is how confirmation bias shows up in a team, because I know you know this is coming, right? It's blame and it's finger pointing. Whether you make it obvious or not, by the way, it's still there. It's still in the space. It's exaggeration in the use of absolutes, like negative, like never and always. It's gossip. Stop it. Stop gossiping. It's bad for team morale. And it's drama. It's ultimately drama that your confirmation bias will take you down the path of. All right, I'm not going to leave you here with all of this cognitive nonsense between your brains, right? I want to throw a couple things in your direction for you to consider. Because now you know, right? Now you know when your pulse goes crazy when you get that phone call. Now you have a sense of what's going on. You also now have compassion. You can't help but have compassion when your clients freak out, when your teammates burst into tears. Now that you know about your own brain, you can apply that compassion to everyone else on your team. You've heard this 1,000 times, right? Speaking of, you've heard this 1,000,000 times, right? Take a breath, literally take a breath. Just thank your little reptilian brain for trying to save your life. The moment you feel your pulse and your shoulders rise, recognize that that's the stress just manifesting in your body, and allow yourself to take a breath and let it go. All right, you got to show up and trust your team. All of them. You got to trust the cranky ones, the ones that are always late for the stand-ups, the ones that won't answer your emails. You got to trust your team. And they don't, all right, you can get me later for saying this, okay? I'm available. Your team doesn't have to do anything to earn your trust, because your number one deliverable for them is to show up with trust like it's your job. And it is your job. It's how you create and how you hold space for your values, right? Of openness and honesty and compassion. It's how we do it. That's our job. All right. This is not woo-woo, y'all, okay? This is another human brain superpower. So many of us walk around wishing that the negative parts of our jobs would go away. You make peace with all the uncertainty, all the annoyances, and all the disappointment, and that supercharges and engages your prefrontal cortex. All right, so here's one story, and then I gotta go. Or so I'm told. All right, my friend gave me this story. It was like a little gift right when I was doing this part of the presentation. And she was saying her daughter, she's 9 years old, she's learning to play soccer. And I'm telling you, this girl is fast and agile and strong, all the things you want from a little soccer player, right? But when the other kids get near her and they start rallying the ball back and forth, she gets scared because she thinks she's going to get hurt. But if she could make peace with the fact that she is absolutely going to get her ass kicked. She is. She's going to get dirty. She's going to get stepped on. That ball's going to hit her in the middle of the diaphragm. And knowing that and making peace with that is what is going to allow her badassness to stay on the field. Because otherwise, you ain't playing. You don't make peace with the stuff in your day and your job, you're off the field. I love this quote by Byron Katie. If you argue with reality, you lose. Only 100% of the time. Look, y'all, I'm just saying it's the holidays. Eat all you want. I'm just saying. All right. All right, this is seriously my last one. No, it really is. Because he's going to unplug me. All right. I just want you to get your money's worth. You're welcome, Brett. Ask questions from the future. Be bold. Step out into the future. This clicks the collective brain from being at the mercy of that crazy phone call that everything needs to be redone. It takes you from being at the mercy of that to creating and thinking out of the box. So this is what it looks like. It's 6 months or a year from now. We rocked that project. How did we do it? What were we thinking? How did we come up with what success was? What were the solutions that we thought of that we arrived at from the future? If you keep asking the same questions from the same knowledge base, from your past and from your fears, and your primal brain kicks in, and you keep getting the same dead stares, that's a clue that you need to go through a different door for a different perspective and a different result. All right, this is it, drum roll. How we think, the drama of our thoughts, the lenses that we view our world through, and especially the words that we use to create and describe our lives. Y'all, you're either putting at the mercy of that little Lizzie brain, or you sense a future with an oriented purpose of your human brain. So I'd like to leave you with this one question. What does your marvelously successful future self look like? How many deep breaths did you have to take? What did you make peace with that allowed you to create a space for allowance and creativity, trust and compassion, first for yourself, your team, your tribes, and your communities? And now, if you don't mind, I really need to find out who Amy is.